What's up, y'all?
It's your girl, Nay.
And it's your boy, X.
And welcome back to the X and A podcast. We finally got it.
Finally got it right. It took 3 times. Third time's a charm.
You feel me?
How are you doing today, Miss Purdy?
I'm doing amazing. This wig is kind of tight on my head because my locks are getting a lot longer. So
I can pull it off for you later if you want. That was a joke.
You already about to piss me off when we just got started. Sir.
Anyway,
Should I take
today.
these out?
Yeah, if you can't talk. Can you talk?
I feel like they be trying to like
Like
my
you
mouth.
about to bite something. You ever seen Attack on Titan? And they be ready to just crunch on it.
Don't, Zay.
You be looking like with them things on. But she about to get them braces off though when you get them off.
I'm so excited. Possibly next month, I think. We'll see. I have my appointment next week to see how things are looking because they had to rewire or I can't talk. They had to reapply a bracket because my tooth was not turning in the way that they wanted. So they said possibly next time, which is amazing because I wanted it off before my birthday. And I wanted it off before Christmas photos. So I hope that it actually does come off.
I feel like dentists and like
Orthodontists.
Yeah, orthodontists. I feel like I almost said optometrists. I feel like optometrists. Why can't I say
Orthodontist?
Orthodontist. Donis. Odonis. What am I doing? What are we recording? Am I on a podcast? What is going on?
What is your point about the dentist and orthodontist?
It's been a long morning. We got up at 5:30.
Not by choice.
5:30. We cleaned up. Today is the day where the trash goes out, so we like to do a little quick clean. That way we can clear
And I was
out.
like, why not just do a podcast right now?
Yeah.
I kind of dragged him up here to do it, but I'm excited.
We've been up for about 7 hours, and it's only, noon?
I ain't gonna lie, I probably need a nap time.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I looked at the
It
monitor.
low-key threw me off with
and
the
I saw
balloons.
there's a balloon floating on the baby monitor, and I thought it was Amari walking around the room, and I almost just lost everything I was about to say. Like, we literally just put both of them to sleep. Ace was being so difficult.
I don't know. I think it's teething. He's just having a hard time now. But
Back to the optometrist, orthodontist thing. Look,
orthodontist, optometrist, I think that's the eye doctor.
yeah, the orthodontist. I feel like they always give you false hope.
Yeah, when I had my thing, they told me 1 year, and then now fast forward 24 to 30 months, and then he was like, "Well, possibly next month," and he said it's 10 months early. I'm like, really, it should have been a year, but we'll take it.
I don't believe them. I think that, and I hope this is not true, but I think that your braces will be on like in January still.
Don't say that.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just going based on what tends to happen with
I don't
these
think so, though.
orthodontist, optometrist people.
No, because the thing was when they rewired it, they didn't put the power chains because they don't want to put too much pressure with the rubber bands. So I'm probably going to get the power chains on next time, which is next week, and that'll close that even more.
They're gonna be like, well, we expected your teeth to shift a little bit
Well, I hope they don't
faster."
say that because
But they be having interns working on your teeth. That's why they don't.
no, and that's why I went back to get a second opinion because you're not playing in my mouth like that.
I'm saying, like, I know people got to learn, but I just hate when people be trying
Don't
to learn
experiment
on
with me.
Like,
Yeah.
come on now, I'm trying to get my stuff in and be done. I ain't trying to have everybody else, playing in my mouth or whatever. You know
Only
what I'm
I
saying?
can.
If you want to, like, even getting physicals, it'd be weird when you got somebody in the room that just be like observing.
Yeah, like
What you observing? You know what I'm saying? You like what you see?
no.
I'm just saying, like, because I ain't even ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out here. It's the winter time. You know what I mean?
Child, anyways.
We ain't trying to show nothing right now. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes I get a little bit.
Yeah, he just get a little carried
when
away.
I'm tired, but we're here. We're back.
Y'all, I feel like he wears the same clothes in every video.
Episode 3.
They are clean, I promise.
Yeah, I smell good. If you meet me in person, just know I smell good.
I don't know. He's just,
I smell good, don't I?
I let him rock. How about that?
You like how our bed smell because of me, huh?
Anyways.
I bet you be smelling the pillow. You
No.
be like, dang, it smell like him.
Nobody uses all of that.
I'm so in love. That's what you be like. But anyway, I've been getting my winter fragrances on. You know what I'm saying?
Bae, I don't want to talk about fragrances.
I ain't gonna talk about either because I can't put y'all on just yet. But soon.
This man will talk your ear off
I'ma
about some
put you on.
fragrances.
But I can't have everybody smelling like me just yet because I gotta make sure that this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm shooting for, all that type of stuff. So just be on the lookout.
Shay, where you at?
Anyway, y'all, we had a few topics. Naomi's yawning right now. I'm gonna make sure I edit that in the podcast so you guys see that. that nice, gorgeous yawn. And yeah, we had a few topics. Honestly, some things that maybe our supporters from the past like 5-6 years maybe know already.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of it, maybe you didn't know a lot of the details. But Naomi wanted to talk about the IVF journey a bit and also talk about infertility because she's been getting a ton of questions about the entire process. What was it like? Why did we have to do it?
Yes,
The whole 9 yards. So what I'll do right now, since I talk a lot during this podcast and I just be rambling, I just be going on and on and on. And sometimes I just can't stop myself. But you know what? Today I'm going to stop myself for you, babe, because you deserve. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. So you can talk about it.
Oh my God.
Where are we going to start?
So a lot of people, I guess, wanted to know about my diagnosis to how I found out that I was having infertility issues. And honestly and truly, I feel like I didn't really know until I had a cyst surgery removal. I remember there was one time that he was at work. I was in community college at the time and I was getting ready to go to school. And I had this like crippling pain that caused me to fall over essentially. And I laid there and curled up in a ball for like 30 to 40 minutes. And I feel like everything for me, I chalked it up as like bad periods. You know, I didn't think that I had any internal issues within that. Long story short, I go to the ER. They're doing all these different scans to see what the issue was because I didn't really know what it was. And then part of me was like, could it be like a miscarriage or something? But then I was like, no, I've never, ever in my life gotten pregnant. Not that we were trying to get pregnant, but we also weren't really preventing. And then
it was going crazy.
Shut up.
I'm just saying, you put it out there. I was like, we was going crazy. You know, we was young.
But after that, I pretty much found out through, I think it was a CT scan, that there was a cyst in there, and the size of the cyst, they pretty much came to the conclusion that they knew what it was, which was a endometrioma, which is a cyst of somebody who has endometriosis. They said the only way that I would know for sure if it was endometriosis was to have the surgery to remove it. And then, you know, they can see better in detail because endometriosis appears on the outside of everything, not necessarily inside of your uterus. So I want to say a couple months go by, I have a cyst surgery removal. It's supposed to be a laparoscopy, or laparoscopic surgery, but when they went in, they realized the cyst was too big to be removed through the small 3 cuts that they make on the stomach. So I had to have a C-section cut.
And just to cycle back, laparoscopic. Can you explain what that is? Because I guarantee you, I only know what it is because I've been through it, but most people don't know what laparoscopy is.
A laparoscopy surgery, basically, they make these small little cuts. I want to say it was like an inch or so. For me, they didn't cut all around. They only cut my belly button first just so that they could go in and see with the camera. But they use one angle for the camera. The other angle, I guess, is for whatever tool they use to like pick at it and suck it out. And I don't know. So
it's like basically small incisions to make, you know, the surgery less invasive.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you don't have the big cut that you would get from a C-section, but you had to do the C-section because they needed more access, right?
Mm-hmm. And I didn't find out that I needed the C-section cut until I woke up from the surgery. And when I woke up from the surgery, I found out that I had stage 4 endometriosis, severe endometriosis. Ugh, I cannot talk. I found out I had stage 4 endometriosis. I also found out that the cyst that I had killed the circulation off to one of my fallopian tubes. So my OB also cut out one of my fallopian tubes, so left me with one fallopian tube. And she did remove some of the scar tissue. And for people who have endometriosis, you know that when they remove some of the scar tissue off of the affected areas, that it decreases your ovarian reserve. So I guess from that moment, we kind of knew that, you know, we would probably need a little bit of help. But I just wanted to ask you, what was your thoughts along the process of finding this out? Because as you know, we obviously did want to have kids and we did want to grow our family. So what was that feeling for you, like, I guess, through the surgery and hearing everything first before I actually woke up to hear everything?
Well, I think our relationship was in a very different place back then. I feel like we were still young from a like mental standpoint. Like we had a lot of bad habits. I was stubborn. You were stubborn. We hadn't really gotten to the point where we were truly connected like how we are now. So I think that we didn't really take things all that seriously until this happened. You know what I mean? Because I think when it happened, for me, I've always been very like serious and like intentional about my career and stuff like that. And I would work long hours, and I would, do my best to continue to rank high at the company that I was at. And luckily, my manager, who was like my work mom, and she's an amazing person. Shout out to her. You know who you are if you ever see this. She got on me. She was like, Xavier, you need to go take care of your girlfriend. You need to stop what you're doing. Take the day off, whatever. This was the day that you were feeling really, really bad.
Yeah, I had just told you to stay at work because I didn't really know what it was, but,
And she was basically not allowing me to come to work. She was like, no, you need to take care of this. And when she told me that, I was like, okay, I'll do that. I went to the ER with you, right? And I'm thinking it's going to be business as usual, right? Because I think most people, when you haven't had a lot of medical scares, you just assume that everything's business as usual. Nothing really goes wrong. They're going to go in, they're going to take out the cyst. They're going to, finish the laparoscopy or whatever it's called, and we'll be on our way. What got crazy was it took a lot longer than what they said it was going to take. So I think they said it would be like an hour or something.
And you're referencing the surgery, correct?
The surgery, right.
You said ER. We didn't go to the ER for that.
Oh, but I feel like it's all the same thing. Yeah. I mean, you go in through the ER, wherever you go in, and then, you go to the operating area that they have. But yeah, long story short, they was like, it's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm sitting out there. I still have my work laptop just in case. And hour goes by, not hearing anything. 2 hours go by, I'm not hearing anything. And then finally, like 2.5, maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes later, the doctor comes and she's like, hey, Xavier, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's going on? And then she just breaks the news to me. She's like, well, surgery went well, but we did find that she does have stage 4 endometriosis. We did have to take out one of her fallopian tubes because it was sticking to her inner lining.
I feel like even though this is something that I work past, it's something that still hurts. Just, sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. And when she just started naming a whole lot of stuff that they had to do in order to make sure that, one, the cyst was completely gone, and two, that they were able to clean up a lot of the endometrioma and the scarring and stuff that the endometriosis leaves behind. So for me, it was almost like this moment where life got real, because I'm like, damn, if she's telling me all of this, then what are the chances that, we're able to get pregnant when we decide we want to have a family? And I asked her, I was like, is it still possible for us to get pregnant? And like I said, we're not even thinking about babies at this point. We
definitely weren't even.
Yeah, I'm like a year and a half into my career, and I'm just, I always imagined in my mind that when I was like around 27, 28, that's when I'll be having my first child, which actually happened, because of this.
Yeah.
But she was like, I want you guys to start trying to have a baby right now if you want to have one. And I was like, damn.
And it was kind of like a lot, because I feel like I was in the process of like in and out of school, like I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do with my life. And I think around that time I had kind of started trying to do content. Yeah. But, that was very up and down. So.
And it was like crochet stuff back then.
Yeah, that wasn't even what I'm doing now.
It was not X&A, nothing. It was, it's Naomi Marie and some crochet stuff. So she's like, yeah, y'all need to start trying to have a baby. I'm going to give you guys a year, try naturally. And if that doesn't work, come see me. So in my mind, I'm like kind of torn, because it's like, dang, you never expect to have these types of challenges, especially being so young.
For me, I always just thought that I was God's favorite and I was dodging pregnancy, but the whole time I could not get pregnant, And it kind of made me feel away, I guess, because younger me had never really been to like a OBGYN. Like, yeah, I had a primary care doctor, but I never, like that's not something that I'm thinking about doing in high school or like freshly in college. I'm not thinking, oh, I need to keep up with my fertility status. So I think it was, oh, my bad. I think for me, it was just kind of like a whoa moment, because like I said, I've always had very bad periods. Like my periods were so bad to the point where I'm nauseous and throwing up for the first 2 or 3 days. And, I'm staying in the bed, but I never thought it was as serious as what it was. So for me, it just felt like I was neglecting myself to find this out years later when I probably could have addressed the issue earlier on and I wouldn't have been in the situation that I was in.
Yeah. And I would say for me, it was just a lot of different things to think about because, like I said, we were both young. You had some habits that weren't the best. I had habits that weren't the best. I was super anal about making sure that we budget, save money to set us up properly for the future.
And we had things that we wanted to do before we even had a kid, get a house and just financial stability before that was something that happened for us.
I think everybody wants the picture perfect. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. Then we'll have the baby and then we'll live this happily ever, afterlife. And I think for us, God puts everything on plan for you. And in the moment you may doubt, but I've always said that I wanted to have my children early, but had it been left up to me, I think that we probably just would have been saying it. We'd have been saying it and never actually committing. Just like when I decided to leave my job, it became a point where I was holding that back. And even though I don't think we were ready at the time to have a kid, I knew that I wanted to be with you for the rest of my life. And that's when I decided that I wanted to try. And even if it didn't work out, then I was going to have a beautiful baby. You know what I mean? If we didn't work out, I'm I'm going to have a badass baby mama. I'm going to have a beautiful baby. It's all going to be good. I'm going to make my own money. She can do what she do, whatever. And these are all the thoughts that go through a young person's head. You know what I mean? Because there's always doubt, right? What if this doesn't work? What if we do get pregnant and what if we're not meant to be? Or what if we are meant to be and we can get pregnant? So you think about all these things.
I feel like that situation too kind of I don't want to say it rushed us, you know what I mean? But like you said, it was kind of we had to decide in that moment. Like you said, you don't know, because I want to say at that time we weren't married. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah. And also too, I had to make the decision, do I want to lay down with anybody else? And that was the easy answer for me. It was no. I wanted to only be with you. And I think that because we had such a strong connection, not even just physically, it was everything. It was mentally, I admired how creative you were. You admired how mature I was and how I was able to, help kind of guide you through some of the harder phases of your life, help you get a car, help you get a job, help you through school.
And for most people who don't know, he is my first serious relationship, first serious relationship I've ever had in my life. So for me, I guess a lot of things was new and it was a lot of learning for me. I was very immature when we first met. And like you said, we both weren't in the place to be trying to have a baby, low-key in my head, because we just had a lot going on. He was trying to start his career. We just moved in
with each other.
Literally. So, yeah. But
because mind you, when you and I met, you were 19, but you were about to turn 20 the next month. Mm-hmm. And I was 22 because we were 2.5 years apart. And that age gap may not seem like a big deal, but
it is.
It's a huge deal when it comes to where you are in terms of your life. Because I had already graduated college and I had got through college pretty quickly. I did it in 4 years. And luckily I was able to get a good job. And
I was kind of in the midst of trying to figure it out. I think I was maybe 2 years in college. And I honestly, when I met him, I was going through a very, very rough patch in my life. So it's not that I wasn't looking for anything serious with him, but you know, I feel like a lot of times for me, because I did have like a small following, it was nothing crazy, but you know, I just always chalk stuff up as like, you know, just talking to somebody and then it'll stop.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, because I've had experienced a long relationship, and for me, I mean, looking back, it's not even all that long. It was close to 3 years, but it seems like a long time when it's like a college relationship. And I knew at like my value, like what I could offer to somebody. And I think for us, you had a lot of the intangibles that I knew most women didn't have that I wanted. And I think that whenever you decide you want to choose somebody, you have to be willing to figure out if they can get to the other things that you would find valuable in needing. Just like, you know, you for me, right? There are certain things that I had to change, like the way I would go about conversations. I could be very blunt, honest, and kind of just put things out there, and my intentions were good. Like I'm always like, we're a team, right? But the way that I would, you know, say these things would hurt her feelings, right? And not that I'm trying to hurt your feelings, but I could, this is how I grew up, you know, like I think you should consider doing this a different way, or I would even say it worse than that sometimes, like you shouldn't do it like that, you should just do it like this. And or I could make a comment about something and it could, you know, strike a nerve that I didn't know existed. So we had to learn each other. And ultimately, I think that this really was a test for us. It's like, okay, if you guys are truly about it and you want to do something greater than boyfriend and girlfriend, here's your chance.
I feel like another thing, finding out that diagnosis and like, I guess everything from that surgery, I feel like it was very challenging for me because it made me feel less of a woman. You know, as us women, we're supposed to have kids and, you know, nurture them. And it just felt like my body was failing me at the one thing. And then I also was going back and forth in my head about whether you would even want to stay with me if I wasn't able to give you, you know, your own kids. And then with him being kind of the only boy, you know, his last name would have died off. So it's just like, I was just thinking about so many numerous things, you know, in my head. And long story short, we did try for the year.
It was a fun year.
Oh my God. I feel like whenever you're trying to have a baby and like they tell you to try for a year and like actually try, it really just sucks the fun out of things because it feels like it's just another chore or task to do. At least for my point of view, you probably, it's probably different for a guy, but for me, it just felt like a chore. You know, like I felt like we had to schedule things out. We have to track ovulation, you know, and it's not that I didn't want to have to go through IVF. I just felt like it took a lot of the spontaneous of things, you know, from pregnancy.
Like the spontaneity, like out of it.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, yes, I essentially did have 2 kids, but, you know, like I never got the chance to find out without me knowing that I'm about to do an IVF transfer that I'm pregnant. You know what I mean? Like I already knew going into IVF that there is a 50-50 chance of me being pregnant. So I feel like there was just really no surprise with a lot of things when doing IVF. But I guess we can go into the next part, the IVF journey. What made us go through IVF?
I'll say a little bit more just to touch on that before we move on to the IVF. I think that while we were trying for that year, it was very disheartening every month where you would take a test and then it wouldn't be positive and then you would be depressed for a while. And it just, that's what really sucked for me. And although, I mean, doing the do is great, and guys, we always have a great time. I think about, you know, where we are today versus where we were. And it's definitely not a chore. You know what I mean? And I think that I agree with you. Like the spontaneous aspect of having a child is great. But I also think that the fact that God has even allowed us the option and the ability to know these things and to plan for it properly, you know,
absolutely,
to get married, to have all these, you know, resources available to us. I think that there's always a brighter way to look at things because, the alternative could have been a lot worse.
No, absolutely. So, I do agree. Was the journey easy and, was it a lot? Yeah. Well, it wasn't easy, but it was a lot. I feel like it kind of just put everything like in our own terms. You know what I mean? Like it worked out for us the way that we wanted it to work out. Did we want to have to go through IVF? No. I'm not sure anybody wants to have to go through IVF. But I know, I feel like regardless of me having my 2 miracle babies, it still hurts and stings just to talk about it. Because it doesn't seem like it was just that long ago.
Mm-hmm. And I think that also, it's okay. I think that also, when it comes to just this journey, I think that we learned a lot about ourselves. And I think that it grew us together so much closer. Because you've never had somebody be with you through a surgery like that. And I was really the only one there that would not leave and like make sure that you were good. And I think that, and we talked about it years ago, but that helped you kind of know that I was the one for you. Mm-hmm. And I think what helped me understand that you was the one for me, besides the fact when I first met you and we talked and you essentially had just woken up, you had an afro, didn't look like you hadn't even brushed your teeth, but you was just yapping and yapping. I don't know. There was just something about you where I knew that you were worth the struggle and the challenge and all that stuff. For most things that come easy, it's an outcome that you don't really get too excited for. But for things that are very challenging, the reward is always, desirable. Mm-hmm. And I knew that going into this journey that if things worked out, even if they didn't, we would find a silver lining. But since things did work out, I feel like we understand how to be truly grateful for most things. I feel like we're always trying to be more grateful, for the smaller things. But I just think that it really did prepare us to have, a relationship that was sustainable for years and years because we had been through something that was truly difficult.
And then I also wanted to say too, like me having that surgery, there was nobody in my family that could relate to that. Like I want to say, yeah, my mom probably had a history of fibroids, but like nobody had the history of infertility in its own and not able to get pregnant. So I felt like as much as my family tried to be there for me, they didn't really know how to support me. I didn't really know how to support myself in that time. Like I said, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends that dealt with something like that. So we did try for a year. It didn't happen. And I think I was a little hopeful that it would have happened because my doctor did tell me that whenever you get some of, I guess, the endometriosis removed, like it can improve your fertility. But obviously with the scraping, trying to remove it, it does decrease your ovarian reserve. So we had an appointment with a fertility clinic. We went over, I guess, the numbers and what he thought everything would look like for me and like the chances of it actually working the first time. Most people who have been through IVF know that it's a 50-50 chance the first time because it's kind of like trial and error to see what medications work for you, what's not going to work. And they tested, I want to say, my ovarian reserve, and I suspected, it's crazy because I already knew that I would have to have the IVF, and then I think finding out my ovarian reserve, it was like 1.23. I don't know how I remember numbers so well, but I remember with Amari it was 1.23, and that was like the ovarian reserve of what? I think it was like somebody in their late 30s, early 40s or something like that.
I think it was like early 40s or something.
Early 40s, but I remain hopeful that, it could still happen. And at this time that I'm going through IVF, I don't feel like I had the greatest relationship with God. I talked about that on our last podcast. I don't think that I had the greatest relationship with God. At that time, I was still trying to, I guess, figure it all out. I lost my train of thought now.
I'll help you out because you skipped a big part, and that was between us trying and then the IVF cycles. We did get married, and the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because I think everyone dreams about having this big, fantastic wedding, right? Mm-hmm. All the family comes and yada, yada, yada. The truth is for us is we would have liked that, but the way that our lives were set up, like one, I was working for this company and they had great benefits. Naomi didn't have any benefits. And in order for us to even consider doing IVF for the amount of like money that we were making, we definitely needed those benefits. And also too, you know, she needed healthcare because who knows when the next scare could have been. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that we got married simply because of the benefits. We got married as quickly as we did and ignored the big, beautiful wedding because we knew that we were going to get married anyway, but we needed an opportunity to make this family that we wanted.
I think we just prioritized the family over the wedding, and that's perfectly fine.
It was definitely the right decision because at the end of the day, your ovarian reserve was only diminishing. Mm-hmm. And we already knew we were getting married. We talked about it. You know, you were getting on me because I was taking too long with the ring and whatnot. And I wanted to make sure that the proposal had some of our family and friends there. That way they can at least experience that and we can share that. Mm-hmm. But literally like a few days after the proposal.
It was like a week later we got married.
We got married and it felt great. Like, to be honest, just, you know, going from girlfriend to fiance in a week and then to wife, mm-hmm. it hit different when I'm like, yeah, that's my wife.
Yeah, it like, kind of make you feel like boyfriend, girlfriend is childish.
Like, to me, it feels very hard for me to respect the whole boyfriend and girlfriend thing. I respect the fiance.
Yeah. I get boyfriend, girlfriend though for a couple years, but like when you get to a certain point, it's like, okay.
It's like when you talk about boyfriend and girlfriend and like other couples talking about, well, you know, we're just boyfriend and girlfriend right now, but you know, he's been talking to other girls and doing this and doing that. Like back then when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, that was a big deal to me. I'm like, you know, we would never do that. Let's be loyal to each other. You know, we got to act like we're engaged, act like we're married. Mm-hmm. But after like being married versus boyfriend and girlfriend, I'm like, when people talk to me about, oh, my partner was doing X, Y, and Z, I'm just like,
yeah,
like y'all ain't for real. You know what I mean? Like when that ring gets put on that finger, everything changes. And it should be. I'm not saying that, you know, if your boyfriend and girlfriend, you know, don't care about each other, like don't be loyal. Definitely do that because it's in your personality to be loyal. It's in your personality to be a good person, to care about your significant other regardless of the title, right? That's just who you are. That's who you should be. But at the same time, when it comes to boyfriend and girlfriend, it's just like you said, it just feels way more childish and I wouldn't like
I don't know how some people be boyfriend, girlfriend for 10 years. I mean, I get it. Some people don't want to be married. That's you, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just a traditional guy when it comes to marriage. I think that when you meet the right person and you're not like in a position where you are incapable of being successful, you know, by yourself. Like I feel like a lot of men don't want to get married simply because they feel like they can't make it on their own. And that sounds like it's backwards, right? They don't want to get married because they feel like they can't make it on their own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have to back up because I had to burp.
They don't want to be married.
Because it's like an extra person to take care of.
Exactly. And it's like, let's say you get divorced and that person is now getting 50% of everything. You're definitely not going to make it on your own because you're giving up 50% of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, I was always confident that I knew how to make money. I knew how to take care of myself. I wanted more responsibility. I was interested in learning new technology.
I feel like you're very different because you enjoy the responsibility of like caring for me and your kids. Like you love that.
That's what gives me purpose, you know, is the responsibility that I have and, you know, the relationships that I have. I want to make sure that, you know, my time here is impactful and that when I do leave, people remember me and they remember who I was and they can aspire to be in different ways like me, right? Not everything about me, you know, I'm not perfect, but I would hope that when my time is up, you know, my son will, just like how I look at my dad, you know, I would want to be more like that in certain regards. So, but yeah, like we did get married. That was great. And it was like, it's game time now. We was already.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. The first quote from IVF, because we were considering taking out like maybe a loan or something, because they have like fertility loans. But first cycle baby was like $40,000. And IVF, yes, it can be covered by insurance depending on your employer. But most of the time, people are paying out of pocket for that. $40,000 is a lot. That's somebody's salary. So, luckily, our insurance covered majority of it. I want to say we just pay our yearly deductible, and that was pretty much it. So that was a blessing in its own. So going through the first cycle, I guess, of IVF.
The first cycle was interesting because I had no idea what was going on, and we were watching so many YouTube videos about like people in their IVF journey.
But I feel like there wasn't that much out there. Like regardless of how much we looked, like I feel like most people don't share anything about like their infertility journey or IVF journey, because at least I'm speaking for myself. For me, I felt like having infertility and needing the extra help felt so embarrassing. You know, it just feels like your body failed you as something that I was meant to do. But we went through the first cycle. It was a lot of learning for both of us. We really didn't know what to expect. Lots of injections, lots of tears, lots of praying, hope, all of the above. I will say after my first cycle, it was very draining, to say the least. And it felt like a lot, but I would do it 20 times over. Like if that meant that, you know, I would have my kids. But I wanted to know, what was your thought process, I guess, going in towards the prepping for the egg retrieval? And then you can talk a little bit about the transfer.
So just to give you guys context on what the process is like from start to finish. So you have your consultation at first, right? They also do a test of the male semen to see if you have, you know, a normal group
sperm
of
sample.
swimmies.
Yeah, because some people have dead sperm.
Yeah. So luckily I was normal, so we didn't have to worry about that factor. What happens is...
Oh, they had the screening too, though. Remember the genetic screening? Like not for like Down syndrome, but it was for like just genetic stuff that's in our, I guess, passed down from our parents. Because I wanted to say I had two things that if you had, then our baby had the chance of having. It was like spinal fibula something.
Oh, you remember? I remember they took my blood. That was the thing. You know, a lot of stuff too, like she's saying, and just to make sure that you have a baseline of what the risks are.
Some of it's optional. You don't have to do that. But for us, we were like, we're doing everything possible because we're not going to be just paying all this money to not have a, you know,
a clear idea
or a clear shot.
Mm-hmm. So they did my sample. That was normal. They did the whole blood work, all of the recessive and dominant genes. You know, they worked out so that...
Stop rocking.
Is that bothering you?
Yes.
But yeah, all the blood work was pretty good. I mean, there were always like little risks here and there, but that's what everybody. And then what happens is you go into this phase of where they're trying to grow the eggs inside of her ovaries. And I think that's the most interesting part of IVF, is because you start these injections, and what you're doing is you're trying to stimulate these eggs in the ovaries.
Ooh, baby is crying.
So that they grow.
Oh, go get him.
Oh, he's crying.
Hurry up before you wake her up.
All right.
Pause for a second. I just hear crying. I'm like, whose baby is that?
All right, we are back now.
You were touching on the topic of the
ovaries.
Yes.
Growing the eggs.
Before you go back into that, so I just wanted to say, I know that most women grow one egg or pass 1 to 2 eggs a month. So they were like hyper growing eggs. Like,
yeah, they were basically like, if you could think about like a guy in the gym who's like on the most steroids ever. That's what I feel like they were doing with the eggs. So like every week, it wasn't every week. It was like every day.
It was just a week. But it was every day.
It felt like it was a long time. But for this week-long period, of course, we'll be giving Naomi these injections, and we will go into the clinic, and they would do this ultrasound of her ovaries.
Do the vaginal.
Do the
vagina with the probe. That's the only clear way of seeing it.
Why did they need that detail?
Oh, I'm just saying. Most people are paranoid or scared of if you're looking at the IVF journey.
Yeah, they show that thing right up on in there. And they, look at the ovaries. They look at both of them. Of course, one of them had a better reserve than the other one. I think
it was the side that didn't have the tube, which makes sense to why I couldn't get pregnant, because the other side was not producing quality eggs.
Yeah, so the side with the tube had a far more diminished ovarian reserve, and then the side without the tube had the better eggs. So we would come in every single day, and every day they would show us the ultrasound, and you would see the eggs grow, and then they had to be like a certain size before they were
it's like 15
viable.
Or no, 17 to 22 millimeters or something like that, or 25 millimeters.
So like you're hoping every day, like it goes from 3 millimeters to 5 millimeters to 7 to 8, and then randomly you get one that's like 15, and you just hope that you have enough that you can do the
retrieval. Because if you don't have enough and they're not growing to the size, they'll just basically stop your cycle there, tell you to stop, and you'll wait till your period starts, and then they'll change up the medication and you'll start all over. It's a very time sensitive procedure, because at any moment they're like, okay, we're gonna stop, you're gonna do your trigger shot, and then you'll have your retrieval in 2 days.
Exactly. So for us, it was amazing because we were able to get enough quality eggs for retrieval the first go around. So I think the last day they may have seen like
it was like
7 to 9.
I thought it was like 15 to 16, but only 7 of them were like good enough.
Something like that. I remember like on the high end possibly 9, and I remember on the low end like 6. So we would watch all these YouTube videos of these women going through it. And some of these women, they would have like 20 something eggs that were like.
Yes, but that's women who have PCOS. So it's like, for us, we didn't want to get too many because we didn't want that many embryos to have to be, son.
So
we didn't want to have too many embryos, long story short.
We wanted to make sure that we had high quality embryos, and that overall like the transfer would be successful, which was the blessing for us, is that although you had a diminished reserve, you still had high quality eggs. So that was all a silver lining. All of them
tested normal to the ones that did make it. So that was amazing.
And what she means tested, what do you mean by
we genetically tested them to see if they had Turner syndrome, Down syndrome, or anything like that. That's also another optional thing. Most people don't do it because they don't want to pay for it. But for us, we wanted to give ourselves the best possible opportunity at possibly getting a pregnancy.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that if you have any like genetic dispositions, it could affect the successfulness of the pregnancy itself. So like if the baby doesn't have like a left lung, and you can detect that from, the biopsy when they're doing the test.
Not a left lung, babe.
I'm just saying, like, to give an example.
Yeah.
If the baby doesn't have like a left lung.
No, it's not a lung. It's just genetic stuff.
I'm just saying, but you
that's a horrible example though, because you're not going to be able to see the lung until the second trimester.
But I'm sure that there's some sort of
for example, Down syndrome, Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome, I don't think it's compatible with life, or if it is, it's a very low chance. So some people choose not to do it because they say if they had a natural pregnancy, God would have just, But for me personally, a lot of times they said you can get through almost the first trimester if you don't test it, and then you can miscarry. And that just wasn't something that we were willing to have to go through. Yeah,
that would have been like terrible to go through. Shout out to everybody who's been through IVF or been through, a pregnancy journey that was challenging, because I truly do feel for you, and I can empathize with the challenge, and just keep going. That's why it's called a journey, because you don't want to get too high on the highs. You don't want to get too low on the lows. You just want to keep your eye on what that goal is, and just try to, stay as even keeled until you get there.
But to touch on to the first IVF cycle, the second IVF cycle is very much the same exact thing. Like I got the same numbers as I did the first time, and everything worked out in its own. I was on the same exact medications. But I will say, tying into the pregnancy, I guess, portion of it, I did not have the best pregnancies with either one of them. I think we should
save that one for another podcast, because I think that...
You want to go into... Oh, okay, fair enough.
The pregnancies are...
You got to tell them something?
Y'all hear him screaming?
Tell them. Say, ah. Say hey. Now you. What?
So Ace said he had to make a cameo.
Whoa. See, them hands quick. But I guess we'll do, another detailed video about my pregnancy and all of that if you guys are interested.
And the deliveries. I think we can tie those into one video. But I will say, like, to wrap up the IVF stuff, when we did do the retrieval and they did marry the sperm with the egg, we did get, I think the first time we got 3 embryos, right? Mm-hmm. I think we got 3 both times, right?
3 both times.
Both times we got 3.
And we did know the gender both times.
We knew the gender both times. We'll just let you guys know that. I will say, whenever they do the marrying of the egg and the sperm, it takes a couple days to know if the embryo is actually going to grow. So there's a lot of anxiety, like, after you do that, because, you know, you're just waiting to get a call from the clinic.
They don't tell you nothing.
They don't tell you nothing for 5 days. So, like, if your embryos survive, and think about it like this. You had, around 6 eggs or so that were quality, right? So in our mind, we're thinking, man, if all 6 of them like turn into an embryo, that'd be amazing. Mm-hmm. But the way it works in IVF is usually it's like half. Like every step is like you lose half.
Lose half every time.
And it happened exactly like that for us. So like we had like 6 embryos.
No, I think 6. It was 7 retrieved.
7 retrieved. But we had 3.
5 were quality eggs that they inseminated with the sperm. Okay. And then out of the 5, only 3 made it. Okay, and the same thing happened the second time.
Yep. So 7 retrieved or something like that. And then 5 of them good to go. And then 3 of them actually fertilized. So there could be many reasons why they don't fertilize properly. It could be me. Like you never know which.
And when you say fertilize, that just means they put them together, but you still have to wait the 5 days. So you don't even know if they're going to be good.
They don't even look at them. Like the clinic people.
They just leave them in the incubator. They just leave them
in the incubator. They check on day 3, but they don't tell us anything because, I mean, you need 5 days worth of waiting to see if it's grown. But day 5, you get the call. And the first call we got, I'll just bring this one up. They were like, hey, so we got 3 of them. 2 of them are already like fully good and mature. The other one's looking like it's coming along. We'll just have to give it a couple of days. Sometimes it takes 7 days. So,
and they grade them based off of how they look. Mm-hmm. And when they grade them, that doesn't mean that it's genetically normal. It can still be 2. So when they grade them, it doesn't mean that they're normal. They can still have something wrong with them. So the thing was, after we found out how many we had, I still had this anxiety about like whether they were normal or abnormal. Because like we said, you lose a little bit in every process. So I was just thinking, okay, well, we have 3. And when we test them, we'll probably go down to either 2 or 1.
But long story short, we were just so happy that we had 2 that were already looking like they were potentials, and then we had 1 more. We got the call about that 1 more on day 7, and they were like, yep, it made it to the finish line. They look great. And then we learned about what the genders were, and I guess the rest is history from the first side.
And we still have some frozen.
Yeah, we still do.
We have 4.
We have 4.
Is it 4?
Mm-hmm.
6. Yeah, 4.
Mm-hmm. But in the next video, the next podcast, maybe we'll talk about
my what pregnancy. It was like.
Because she had to have a procedure just to get the...
Oh, twice. Oh my God, I'm forgetting about that.
Yeah,
I mean, you could talk about that in this video though. Because that's not technically pregnancy, but...
I don't know. He may not let us the way he acting.
Long story, I think he got gas too.
Yeah.
We'll save it for the next video because it's already a long video.
But let us know what questions that you have below. Please let us know because we'll be more than happy to answer. It's been a great time talking with you. Mm-hmm. I think it's great that you got some of that emotion out because every now and then I know it's good to revisit.
Yeah,
it's good to revisit and to not run away from it. You gotta tell him something again. He about to drop kick the mic. What you gotta say, Ace?
2.
Say my name Poogie. Yeah. Say my name Poogie. Say
They probably like, what is all this?
He say mama. Mama, mama, mama.
Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. This is the X&A podcast. We are out.
Peace.